science also do that. I think we were only 10 that had A in the whole of that year. I was among the people, so and then other result turns out I had good results for first semester. And then second semester, exception of a computer science course I did that I had C, and which I never knew, like, if I don't like that course, I could drop it. But then, because then I didn't like it because the guy that teaches it, he was very boring. So I cram. And I don't like cramming. I like to understand when go get to hall. So when I cram, I get to the hall, I forgot and I have to struggle, So I had a C in that exam. So that was the reason I couldn't be in first class in my 100 levels. I now ended up on 4.45. That means I need 0.5 to get to 4.5. So when we started 200 level, I think that was when the adjunct came in for 100 level. So I started reading, and then I think at the end of my 100 level, I had an interaction with the level coordinator, then one BA Buba. So he told me, he was like, "Why do you want to change?" Because I told him I'm thinking of do change of course to go back to microbiology or biochem, because I don't think they want to give me medicine. I said I go through jam. So he was like, you don't need to change. Just focus on what you're doing, and you are not doing bad. You're already close to first class. Why do you want to leave? Just graduate with it. You could work in statistical bureau. You could find yourself in central bank. He created that hype and all that. So he managed to convince me to stay. So that was how, and I was the class rep. So I stayed, and then a lot of people were coming, and I was teaching them, and I was through that process. I met with John and his friend Shadrach. So there were so many other people like him as well that were coming. He knows very well. Then I used to be very busy. So many people at to teach them. So by the time I finished 200 level, I think 200 level, I wrote 4.65 or thereabout. So that brought me to 4.55. So it means I was already in first class in 200 level. So 300 level, it was a tight race. It became very difficult. The courses were quite huge. Yeah, but I think at the end of my 300 level, I got around 4.8. And then 400 level, I still wrote 4.8. So that brought me to 4.69, thereabout. So I almost remained 0.1 to get to 4.7. So that was how I became the second person to break the record of first class in statistics. Although my set we were two, I and another guy, Spo. The first guy was a year ahead of us, but before that time, there was no one that had a first class, in statistics. So we were like the three people. I don't know if now probably other people have broken the record, but I think we were I think except after us, John said they had a first class as well, right? John, you guys have a first class in your set, right?
Yeah, we have one. Chinanye.
Okay. Oh, okay, okay. I don't know what CGPA she graduated with.
And she
If
got
it's
4.5 something.
okay, okay. So it was lesser. I think for me, I think it was 6.9. Then score was around 4.5 something as well, or six. I don't know. I think within that, but I was way ahead of him. Then Yax was ahead of me, and Chinenye was 4.8 thereabout. She was ahead of all of us. Anyway, so that was how I finished. So fast forward, And I want to point out what I want to say, your purpose. So I discovered that all this while, my purpose was really when I learn new things, I want to share it with someone. I want to teach people. I want to, so I discovered it was revolving around academics and all that. So I began to ask myself, I think when I was doing my NYC, I was posted to River State Polytechnic. On that year, I think Goodluck Jonathan asked all first class graduates to be sent to higher institution. So on reaching there, I taught statistics to HND, ND, and all that. I taught them one of their courses. I also helped to do their practical manuals for lab because I noticed Polytechnic are quite technical compared to the university system. Anyway, so I also had lots of students that were coming for, they were paying me for all these extra things. And I told myself that I make my money easily in this field. That seems to be where and it's also in line with my passion. For example, I could sit and do my academic stuff for hours. I won't get tired. When somebody tried that, the person would have issues. But for me, it's quite easy. I could do that. So I noticed like this seems to be my calling. So if this is my calling, then I need to continue to develop myself in that area. So that was how I continued to push. So when I came out, I went, for example, during my NYC for different interview in KPMG, Deloitte, and all those guys. So they didn't turn out well. Like the one of Deloitte, I ran out of time. The time was so small. I was so angry with myself. Like, what's wrong? And all that. And one thing about life is when you are used to always winning, losing becomes something that you wouldn't find it easy to take. But I didn't know. Probably God was teaching me patience. So by then I started also going in for other things. Like that was how I got my master's scholarship. I went in for my master's. I got to Kenya, finished my master's. So I come back. I started pushing also for PhD, and then I went in also. So the point I want to make here is your passion or your purpose always lies within your passion. So for me, it was in the area of academics. But then when it now came to research, so I started asking myself, do I want to apply in my statistical skills in areas that has to do with maybe administration, economics, and all that? But I discovered I don't really have passion for those things. So rather, I was having more passion around health and food security kind of research, climate change. So that was how I noticed that those other stuffs are not for me. These are the ones that are for me. So my master's, I did my research in food security, where I used support vector machine to model food security status of household. So I got the data from one of my supervisor. I was able to clean the data